Alright, this time of the Quick Speed Shop, I wanted to do a first drive video of the Model A Hot Rod Shop Truck. I went to get gas last night and two bad things happened. One, it doesn't run anymore, and two, the rear suspension bottoms out a whole lot. So we're going to take a look at both of these problems and see if we can figure them out, and then see what to do from there. I'm a professional, don't try this at home. Well, today's the day I wanted to do the first drive video, and what I did last night is I got the truck fired up and I threw a little bit of gas in it, and I was taking it around the corner of the gas station and it was getting nice, and so I wanted to do one more lap around the block, and the idle was a little fast, so I got out and I turned the distributor. It also pinged a lot, so I knew the distributor was advanced a little bit, so I retarded the timing, settled it down a little bit. I go, yeah, get it back in the truck, and it quit. Just like the key shut off. So I fired it back up, it fired right back up. So I pulled out on the road, went another like 20 feet, and it shut off again. And that was the end of it, never ran again. So I'm almost positive I got an ignition problem somehow. I still got fuel in the carburetor, and it had plenty of gas, so it's not that. So we're going to do some troubleshooting today, try to figure out what's going on with the ignition system on this. And bottom line is I had to coast down the road, pull off on the side street, leave the truck, call my buddy Jackman there, get a ride home, get my truck and trailer in the dark, load this thing back up, and dragged it back home here. So I got it home, so now we're going to do a little bit of tinkering. So the 283 here, I've got a real simple ignition system. I got a MSD Blaster 2 coil running on straight 12 volts. I've got the original points distributor in the engine, but I'm running an electronic ignition conversion from Pectronics. And I believe it's the igniter number 2. I put it in 2006. It's got about 19,000 miles on it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll get out the multimeter, I'll turn the battery on, I'll turn the ignition switch on. We'll check over here. We'll check for 12 volts, make sure we got 12 volts there, and then go from there. Pull the distributor cap off and see what's going on. So let me get the multimeter. Here, so first thing I'm going to do is check for 12 volts at the coil. The ignition is on. So I'm going to put the ground on the carburetor stud. Then we're going to go over here and check for 12 volts. Okay, 11.5. So we got 12 volts through the ignition switch to the positive side of the coil. So let me check the ground to the distributor body to make sure the distributor is grounded in relation to 12 volts. If it makes the circuit, it is. So I'm going to shine up a little spot on the distributor housing itself here. Then we'll go over here to the 12 volt source again. Yes, we do have 12 volts to the distributor body. So now next thing I'm going to do is pull off the distributor cap and make sure that the ground, I think there's a ground from the magnetic pickup to the distributor body somehow. I can't remember, but we're going to look at that next to make sure the module is grounded. What is this dust on the module? Says the internet says check the sticker and stuff, make sure the sticker's not melted off the coil or the magnetic pickup. That appears to be fine. It makes ground through this plate screwed on down here. Can you see what we're looking at? Yeah. This plate screwed on makes ground for the pickup itself. The reluctor ring for the pickup bolts to the underside of the cap, or the rotor here. And I can't remember if you can just remove the whole thing. Oh, there we go. Alright, that's right. It bolts up. The magnetic ring bolts up through. Here's your advance weights here, you can see those. Here's our igniter module. Let me smell it, see if it smells burned or anything. I also wanted to try and inspect the wires where they go through the distributor body. Make sure they're not shorted out. Okay. Aha, that's right. Now, take off our ring. There, that's the bottom of the reluctor ring, which appears to have some gamma goo in there, but should still be making contact all right. We got our 12 volts at the coil, so let's go to this plate. We have it now, but when this was sitting on here, you know, did it not have it? So, shoot. See if I rotate this, see if we lose it. We got ground on the plate even without the ground screw. I've reassembled everything. I pulled the wires back here, the black and red wires. I didn't see anything wrong with the wires, like an obvious mark where it had been catching there, so I cleaned up the rotor. The one thing I did notice is on the distributor cap here, the button appears to be not very good on the top of the distributor cap. And I happen to have a brand new one, and the button is a lot more pronounced in here. It's an AC Delco unit. Unfortunately, it's aluminum contacts, not brass like this one. But I think I'm going to go ahead and put this new distributor cap on, and here, because I don't like the way that button looks, and make sure that we're even making contact with our deal there. So that's the next step. If that doesn't fix it, I'm going to guess that the igniter pickup module is bad, because it can't really be anything else. This is a lot better cap because it's got the brass contacts in there than that. Bought the cheap AC Delco one apparently, and it's aluminum. I like the brass ones, but I'm a little concerned about that button right there. It doesn't look right. That didn't fix it, so I'm going to guess that the module is bad. I mean, this thing has got about 19,000 miles on it. It's 15 years old. It, you know, it just could have failed here because it's an electronic component that sat around not being used for a long time. So, I mean, I've done all the checking I can do with what I got here to work with. So I'm going to bet that that module is bad. So I think I'll have to order another one. They're like 80 bucks and put it in here, and hopefully that'll fix it. Electronic stuff's great, except when it doesn't work, then it's a bummer. But I don't have another distributor, like a points distributor, we could throw that in and see if that worked. But the way it acted, I'm guessing that that's probably what it is. So, all right. So obviously we're not going to be able to get this engine running today without any parts. But I got the second problem I got is the rear suspension is settled on this truck since I put it together, and I put the bed floor in it. Now I got gas in it. It's really settled down where it's only got about 1 inch of suspension travel, and it's bottomed out the rear end on the frame a bunch of times yesterday just going to the gas station. So I've got to jack up the rear suspension. Unfortunately, it's got a spring under scenario where I can't just add add lift blocks or anything like that, so I've got to lower the mounts for the springs to move the rear end away from the frame, and I'll show you what I want to do here in a second. So what I got working with here right now is, here's the current situation. I got the rear of the frame and I've got the rear end here. This is the rear end housing up on top of the leaf springs. I've got the rear shackle mounted up in the frame, and the spring is just about flat. And with it settled out, I've only got about 1 inch of suspension travel here between the rear end and the frame, and it's hitting. So what I want to do is take and lower the rear leaf spring. And I could have just made like really long shackles, like 6-inch long shackles, but then the rear end sways around a lot and stuff when you do that. So I'm going to lower the upper mount of the shackles so I can still use the stock Ford Pinto shackles that go with the Pinto springs. So I'm going to make a block that's going to weld or bolt to the bottom of the frame and essentially move the upper mount of the shackle down. I'm hoping about almost 2 inches, because right now I've got just over 1 inch, probably 1.5 inches of travel, and I would like to have like 3 inches of travel. I think that would be a lot better. So I'm going to lower this almost 2 inches, and that will maintain the geometry of the rear shackles. It'll change the pinion angle like maybe 1/4 of a degree, but that doesn't really matter. You got a little bit of flexibility in it, and so I'm not worried about that. But I didn't want to have a huge long shackle that could sway down, so we're going to have to physically move the upper mount of the shackle, lower the whole thing to pull the rear end away from the frame. So right now you can see the U-bolt. You can see the mark on the frame where it's already hit the frame. And we've only got about 1 inch, 1.5 inches of travel right now. So that's not enough. That's going to bottom out all the time. You can see let's try and get the light under here. The spring is almost flat all the way, and with the rear end being mounted on top of the spring, there's no way I can raise it up at all. So those are two things that need to be addressed here before we can really do a good first drive video with lots of GoPro action. First of all, getting the engine running. Second of all, I want to fix that rear suspension, because I can kind of drive it now, but I don't want to continually bang the rear end on the frame. It's going to hurt the side panels and the frame, mark the paint all up, and it's not good for it to be slamming it constantly on there. So I got to do that. Just did a little diagnosing here in this video, but everything else is pretty much ready to rock and roll in this truck. I've got it registered, it's got temporary inspection, I've driven it a couple miles. I also need to look into fixing the speedometer. The speedometer reads way fast for the speed I'm going, so we're going to change the speedometer gear. I'm going to have to calculate which one I need to run. Originally this truck I had it set up with a 273 rear end ratio, and now it's got a 355 rear end ratio. So the tires are spinning, the engine's spinning faster with the speed it's going, so I need to slow the speedometer down, which would be, let's see, more teeth on the gear make it spin faster, so I need less teeth on the gear. So I got to figure out, we'll take the speedometer cable out, figure out how many teeth are on the speedometer gear. It's got a Ford small speedometer gear in it, and they have like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, up to like 22, I think, different teeth gears. So we'll figure out whatever one's in there now, and have to go down like a tooth or maybe 2 teeth, and get the speedometer to read closer. Because right now, if I'm going like 45, I can check it with my GPS and my phone. If I'm going 45, the speedometer says I'm doing like 60, and that's off way too far. So I want to get that dialed in too. But the truck's was running good. It was driving pretty good, except the rear end. It drives straight. It's got good power. I need to tune it. It was pinging a little bit. That's why I got out and I turned the distributor back and retarded the timing before it quit to make it not ping. I like to set the timing by ear till it sounds good when it's running, and then dialed in with the light at the end. So I know that the gas tank works now. That doesn't leak, so everything's good. And hopefully I'll be making a first drive video here for you soon. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm putting out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Hit the bell for the alerts, tell your friends, and we'll see you right back here at the Quick Speed Shop, hopefully making this pile of junk behind me run again.